Italian grammar isn't just a list of rules to memorize. It's full of patterns, shortcuts, and cheat codes that most learners are never taught, which is why they end up feeling overwhelmed, stuck, and afraid to speak. So today, I'm ranking every major part of Italian grammar from easiest to hardest. And for each topic, I'll give you cheat codes that you need to master each of them, so don't waste time, get stuck, or give up. Now, these rankings aren't just based on my opinion, they're based on what English speakers actually struggle with the most. And it's backed by years of teaching thousands of real learners around the world. Pronti? Iniziamo! The first part of Italian grammar we'll look at is so easy that English speakers can start speaking Italian from day one. It's a category of Italian words that you already know without studying a single word. Now, I'm talking about parole affini, which means related words or cognates. Italian and English share thousands of words that are nearly identical thanks to their Latin roots. Here are just a few examples. Possible becomes
possibile,
natural becomes
naturale,
university becomes
università,
information becomes
informazione.
Notice any patterns here? English words ending in IBLE become IBILE in Italian. And then English words ending in AL become ALE in Italian. English words ending in TY become TA with an accent in Italian. English words ending in TION become Z or ZIONE in Italian. So where do cognates rank? Well, they go in the S tier for surprisingly simple. Now, no matter what your level is, learn as many cognate cheat codes as you can to unlock thousands of Italian words. Now, I've just shared 4 of them here, but if you want all 17 shortcuts, make sure you download your free PDF cheat sheet for this lesson, which I've shared a copy of in the link in the description below this video. Now, this next part is what makes Italian one of the easier languages for English speakers to learn, and there's no trick to it. You just need a few simple tips. In English, spelling and pronunciation don't match. Consider these words: though, through, tough, thought. Same 4 letters, 4 different sounds. But Italian is much simpler. I'm talking about Italian pronunciation. Now, lucky for us, English is a phonetic language, which means almost every letter makes the same sound every time. Now, there are only a handful of exceptions to look out for, but more on that in a moment. So where does Italian pronunciation rank? Well, again, it goes in the S tier for surprisingly simple. Italian pronunciation is more predictable than English, French, and even Spanish in some cases. You'll never have to guess how a word is pronounced. Now, as I mentioned, there are some exceptions. For example, the letter C in Italian has 2 sounds, and which one you use depends entirely on the letter that follows it. So, for example, when C is followed by the letter E or I, it makes a soft ch sound, like the ch in cheese. For example, ciao. But when C is followed by the letters H, O, U, or A, it makes a hard k sound, like the C in car. For example, casa, which means house. For more pronunciation cheat codes like these, again, make sure you download your free PDF cheat sheet for this video lesson. To get your free copy, just click on the link in the description below this video. Now, this next part of Italian grammar gives English speakers an advantage that learners of other languages miss out on. Here's why. In many languages, you have to completely relearn how to structure a sentence. German pushes verbs to the end. Japanese flips the whole order around. I'm talking about Italian sentence structure and word order, which, lucky for us, is almost identical to English. We have the subject, verb, and then the object. Take a look at these examples.
Tommaso legge un libro.
Thomas reads a book.
Andiamo al cinema.
We're going to the cinema. So where does Italian word order rank? Well, it goes in the A tier for almost effortless. Of course, there are some important differences from English that are worth noting, such as adjectives usually go after the noun. For example,
La macchina rossa.
Literally, the car red. But these are only small shifts to remember, nothing drastically different. So here's your cheat code. Start with the Italian English word order as the base. That is, subject, verb, and object. Then remember to put the adjectives after the noun. This becomes more automatic with repetition. Now, this next part of Italian grammar is a brand new concept for English speakers, but if you do this one thing, it'll become second nature. Now, in Italian, every single noun belongs to one of two groups, and the group it's in changes the spelling of the other words around it. I'm talking about grammatical gender. Now, every Italian noun is either masculine or feminine. But this doesn't mean the object itself is biologically male or female. It's simply a way that Italian organizes its nouns. Most Italian nouns follow these basic rule endings. Nouns ending in O are usually masculine. For example,
il libro, il tavolo, il gatto.
Nouns ending in A are usually feminine. For example,
La casa, la pizza, la macchina.
Then we have nouns ending in E. These can either be masculine or feminine. For example, il fiore, the flower, is masculine, but la chiave, the key, is feminine. Now, gender doesn't just affect the noun, it affects everything around it. The article changes, that is, il versus la. The adjective changes, is it rosso or rossa? And sometimes the verb changes too. And getting the gender correct matters more than you might think. Sometimes switching one letter completely changes the meaning. For example, il porto means the port or harbour, but la porta means door. So where does grammatical gender rank? Well, it goes in the B tier for brain stretcher. Now, while it's a new concept for English speakers, it's not random. It follows very simple rules. So here's my best cheat code for you. From day one, never learn a noun by itself. Always learn it with its article. That way, you lock in the gender and the article at the same time. This is especially important for nouns that end with E. Are you enjoying this lesson? Don't let the learning stop here. Make sure you download your free PDF cheat sheet for this video, which includes even more cheat codes. To get your free copy, just click on the link in the description below this video. Now, this next part of Italian grammar is another quirk of grammatical gender, and it's something English doesn't really have. But my cheat code takes all the guesswork out. Now, in English, we have just two ways to say a, that is, a and n, and just one way to say the. But in Italian, a has 4 different forms, and the has 7. Now that's 11 different ways to say what English handles in just 3 little words. And now you have to pick the right one before you can even start your sentence. Now I'm talking about Italian articles, both definite, which are il, la, lo, il with apostrophe, I, gli, and le, and indefinite articles, which are un, una, uno, and un with an apostrophe. Now, which article you use depends on 3 things. That is, the gender of the noun, whether it's singular or plural, and the first letter of the noun. For example, we have
Il cane,
which means the dog. This is masculine singular.
la scuola,
Meaning the school. This is feminine singular.
lo studente,
Which means the student. This is masculine and starts with an S plus a consonant.
l'isola,
The island. This starts with a vowel. And
un treno,
a train, which is masculine singular. Then we have
una bicicletta,
a bicycle. This is feminine singular. So where do Italian articles rank? Well, it goes in the B tier for brain stretcher. Now, even though there are more options than in English, the system is quite logical and predictable, but it does take some getting used to. So here's my best cheat code to learn articles. Here's a shortcut that most beginners aren't taught. 4 Italian word endings tell you the gender automatically. If a word ends in Z-I-O-N-E, S-I-O-N-E, T-A with an accent, or T-U with an accent, it's always feminine, which means you already know to use either la for the and una for a in front of it. Take a look at these examples.
la stazione,
The station,
la televisione,
the television,
la città,
the city,
la virtù.
virtue. Now, this next part of Italian grammar can completely change a sentence's meaning if you forget one tiny word. But my cheat code makes sure that you never do. Now, in English, we say I wake up or I get dressed. There's nothing special about these verbs. In Italian, though, certain verbs, which are actions that you do to yourself, need an extra two-letter word placed in front of them, without which it completely changes the meaning of the sentence. I'm talking about reflexive verbs. The rule is simple. If the doer of the action is also the receiver, you need to add a reflexive pronoun. Compare these phrases.
Lavo i piatti.
I wash the dishes. And
Mi lavo.
I wash myself. That little me is a reflexive pronoun. Without it, you're washing something else. With it, you're washing yourself. Now, Italians use reflexive verbs and reflexive pronouns constantly for daily routines, emotions, and habits. Take a look at these examples.
Mi sveglio alle 7.
I wake up, or I wake myself up at 7.
Ci divertiamo.
We enjoy ourselves. So where do reflexive verbs rank? Well, it goes in the B tier for brain stretcher. Now here's my cheat code to learn reflexive verbs. Now reflexive verbs always end in SI in their full infinitive unconjugated form. This is how they appear in the dictionary. Svegliarsi, lavarsi, vestirsi. Now to remember all 6 reflexive pronouns in the right order, here they are. Mi, ti, si, ci, vi, si. Here's a phrase that I give my students. Mia's tipsy sister circles via Sistina. Each word contains each pronoun. Here's a side note. Via Sistina is a real street here in Rome that leads to the Spanish Steps. The next part of Italian grammar is the first major hurdle for English speakers. But with my memorable cheat code, you'll get it right every single time. Now in English, forming the past tense is simple. You just change the verb. I eat becomes I ate. I go becomes I went. In Italian, there are more steps to take. You have to build the past tense out of 2 parts, a helper verb plus the main verb. I'm talking about compound tenses like the passato prossimo. This is the past tense that Italians use about 80% of the time. But there are 2 things that trip English speakers up. Now, the first challenge is choosing between the helper verb, which could be avere, to have, or essere, to be. Take a look at these examples.
Ho mangiato la pizza.
I ate the pizza. This uses the verb avere. But if you say,
Sono andato a casa.
I went home, this uses the verb essere. Literally, I am gone home. Most verbs in the past tense require avere, but verbs of movement such as andare, venire, entrare, and uscire, plus reflexive verbs, all require essere. Now the second challenge is gender agreement. When you use essere, the past participle has to agree with the subject, masculine or feminine, singular or plural. Take a look at these examples.
Marco è venuto.
Marco came.
Maria è venuta.
Maria came. Now that ending changes based on who's doing the action. So where do compound tenses like the passato prossimo rank? Well, it goes in the C tier for complex but conquerable. And here's my best cheat code. The hardest part is choosing essere or avere. Since most verbs require avere, just learn the small group of exceptions that use essere. Now to do this, picture a house. I call it the house of essere, where your whole life happens. You're born, nascere. You arrive home as a baby, arrivare. And people come over, venire. They walk in the door, entrare. Some stay for dinner, restare or rimanere. The house is where you are, essere. You become an adult, diventare. You stay home, stare and relax. Or you go out, uscire, leave for a trip, partire, go, andare, and come back home, tornare. You climb the stairs, salire, and come back down, scendere, until the story ends with morire. Now, every verb in this house of essere involves movement or a change of state, and all require essere, along with reflexive verbs, of course. Everything else takes avere. Are you enjoying this lesson? Don't let the learning stop here. Make sure you download your free PDF cheat sheet, which includes bonus cheat codes. To get your free copy, just click on the link in the description below this video. The next part of Italian grammar has more than 30 variations, which can be overwhelming at first. But with my cheat codes, they become much easier. Now in English, you can talk about he, him, and himself with just 3 words. In Italian, the same person needs 4 different words, and that's just for one person. Multiply that across I, you, she, we, and they, and you've got nearly 30 variations to learn. I'm talking about Italian pronouns, and there are 4 groups to learn: subject, direct object, indirect object, and reflexive. Take a look. Subject pronouns include
Io, tu, lui, lei, noi, voi, loro.
direct object. These are who receive the action.
Mi, ti, lo, la, ci, vi, li, le.
Indirect object, meaning to whom. These include
Mi, ti, gli, le, ci, vi, gli.
and then the reflexive ones that we touched on earlier. This refers back to the doer. These include
Mi, ti, si, ci, vi, si.
So where do Italian pronouns rank? Well, these go in the C tier for complex but conquerable. The easiest way to remember each group is with my simple mnemonic or cheat code. This is a phrase where every word stands for one pronoun. Take a look at this. Mario tuned Luigi and Leia's noisy violin in Loreto. Listen for the io in Mario. Each word contains a pronoun. Now to get all 4 pronoun cheat codes, again, make sure you download my free PDF cheat sheet, which you'll find a link to in the description below this video. This next part of Italian grammar makes even advanced learners second guess and hesitate mid-sentence. That's why you'll definitely need my cheat code. Now in English, words like in, at, on, to, of don't change form, but in Italian, not only do they merge with definite articles, that is il, lo, gli, I, le, and la, they change form, and many can't be directly translated. I'm talking about prepositions. Now, Italian has 8 basic prepositions: di, a, da, in, con, su, per, tra, and fra. When prepositions are next to a definite article, most of them merge to form one new word. These are called articulated prepositions. Take a look at these examples. Di and il become del. A plus la becomes alla. In plus lo becomes nello. Now there are over 30 of these forms. The bigger challenge is that prepositions don't always directly translate between English and Italian. For example,
Sono a Roma.
I'm in Rome. Italian says a when English says in.
Penso a te.
I think of you. Italian says a, English says of. There are some patterns, but there are plenty of exceptions. So where do prepositions rank? Well, again, they also go in the C tier for complex but conquerable. Now here is one preposition cheat code that you can use. To remember how to use di, think of your ID card. It's where you're from. Just flip the letters and you get di. So when someone asks you, di dove sei? Where are you from? The answer is sono di. For example, sono di Londra. I'm from London. And to get all cheat codes like these, make sure you download my free PDF cheat sheet. Just click on the link in the description below this video. The next part of Italian grammar can be a real nightmare for learners. But if you apply my 80-20 method, I'll show you the only top 20% that you actually need. Now in English, we have 12 tenses, believe it or not. Italian has, wait for it, 21. That's 9 extra tenses, and most of them you'll never need to use. These tenses are the trapassato prossimo, meaning had eaten, meaning the past of the past. Passato remoto. This is used in literature and a lot in southern Italy. Then we have the trapassato remoto, the past in the past in literature. This is extremely rare. We also have the futuro anteriore, meaning will have eaten. Even this is rare in spoken English. Then we have the congiuntivo presente, passato, imperfetto, and trapassato. That's 4 subjunctive tenses. And then we have the condizionale passato, meaning would have eaten. So where does learning all 21 Italian tenses rank? Well, it goes in the D tier for difficult or difficile. Now, some have rough English equivalents that most English speakers haven't actively used in years. Others are Italian-only constructions that you have to learn from scratch. So here's my 80-20 cheat code. Which of these tenses do you actually need to use? Well, only 3 of these are used 80% of the time. Trapassato prossimo, congiuntivo presente, and condizionale passato. This comes with one important caveat though. Only learn these tenses once you've mastered the basics. That is, presente, passato prossimo that we saw earlier, futuro, condizionale, imperfetto, and imperativo. Now these 3 extras build directly on those foundations, so trying to learn them all at first will only confuse you. The next part of Italian grammar is something that kind of exists in English, making it one of the most confusing, if not feared topics in Italian grammar. But I've got a cheat code that makes it far less scary. In English, when we express doubts, opinions, wishes, and emotions, that is, anything that is subjective to us, we used to use a special verb form. Today, not so much, but Italian still does, and it's a fundamental part of the language. It's called a mood and is used for anything non-factual. I'm talking about the congiuntivo, the Italian subjunctive mood, and it has 4 tenses: presente, passato, imperfetto, and trapassato. Now, English has this same mood, but we just barely use it anymore. If you say, if I were rich, that were is the English subjunctive, instead of saying, if I was rich. Same with, it's important that she be on time. Instead of is on time, be is the subjunctive too. While English has mostly replaced the subjunctive, it's still at the very heart of Italian grammar. The Italian subjunctive is triggered by specific verbs and phrases. Take a look at these examples.
Penso che lui sia stanco.
I think he is tired.
Voglio che tu venga.
I want you to come.
Spero che piova.
I hope it rains. Notice how each one starts with che, that. That's often a trigger. So where does learning the Italian subjunctive rank? Well, it goes in the D tier for difficult. And here's my best cheat code for learning it. If the concept of the subjunctive feels weird, it's because it is. Use the weirdo cheat code to remember when to use it. Every letter of weirdo represents when you need to use the subjunctive. W for wishes and wants. E for emotions. I for impersonal expressions. R for requests and recommendations. D for doubt or denial. And O for opinions and uncertainty. Are you enjoying this video? Don't let the learning stop here. Make sure you download your free PDF cheat sheet, which includes all these cheat codes and more. To get your free copy, just click on the link in the description below this video. This next part of Italian grammar is so hard that even native Italians get it wrong, but without it, you'll never truly be fluent. Now in English, when you report what someone else has said, the tenses shift in a fairly simple way. I eat pizza becomes he said he ate pizza. In Italian, you have to match every tense in the original sentence to a corresponding tense in the reported version. And the rules are very unforgiving. I'm talking about la concordanza dei tempi, tense, agreement, and reported speech. Here's the basic concept. If you originally say,
Vado a Roma domani.
I'm going to Rome tomorrow, when someone relays what you have said to someone else, they have to shift every single tense, and it becomes
Ha detto che sarebbe andato a Roma il giorno dopo.
He said he was going to Rome the next day. The vado is the present tense, becomes sarebbe andato, the past conditional. The domani for tomorrow becomes il giorno dopo, the next day. Now multiply this across every tense and every type of sentence, including wishes, hypotheticals, statements, and questions. It becomes very complicated. So where does tense agreement rank? Well, it goes in the D tier for difficult because it requires a lot of mental grammar gymnastics. Now here's my best cheat code to learn la concordanza dei tempi. First, don't even attempt this until you've mastered the subjunctive and the conditional tenses first. Trying to learn them together is overwhelming. Second, learn through real examples, not abstract rules. It's important to remember that even if you never master this perfectly, you'll still be understood. Italians don't expect perfection. They appreciate any effort you make, even if you're just starting out. So don't let la concordanza, intense agreement, and reported speech be the thing that stops you from speaking. Now, even though you now know which parts of Italian grammar are the easiest and hardest to learn, none of it matters if you can't actually form a proper sentence. So watch this video here where I share the only 3 verbs that you need to say anything in Italian. Just click here.